Well, good morning. Hope everyone is well today. Welcome to all of you joining us on Zoom and here in person. My name is Kirsten Levitt, and I'm delighted to have all of you here today and to be your worship host. I don't know if you've got the memo. Some of you do. Masks are optional and welcome. And that is a great joy for me to be able to see people's faces and to feel a little safer. Perhaps the pandemic is coming to an end. We're very delighted to have Reverend Amy McMahan back with us this morning as our speaker this morning, and to have our service enriched by beautiful music from Julia Bady. We'll take announcements at the end of the service this morning. And if it's your first visit here, please sign our guest book, which is in the front of the church, so that we can send you information about activities that are happening here at All Souls. Please do join us for coffee hour right here in the sanctuary directly following the service. And now I invite everyone to breathe. Breathe deeply, come into the room, be present, be at peace. In the words of the Reverend Kathleen McTeague, we come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see communion. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence here together. Let us take time for quiet reflection as we enjoy this morning's prelude. Thank you, Julia. As Amy lights the chalice, please read with me the chalice lighting in your order of worship. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Now for a daily reading.
April 16th from Until Today by the Reverend Dr. Johl Van Zandt. I am willing to acknowledge there may be some parts of my story that I have left out or changed. Are you telling the whole story? Are you telling what happened, the way it happened, or are you only telling the parts that will make you look good? Are you telling what you said, what you did? Are you blaming someone else, everyone else, for your role in the story? Are you adding a few things here and there to accomplish a hidden agenda? Or are you telling what you wish had happened? Are you adding characters, omitting characters, putting characters in roles that they did not play? Perhaps you are telling the story for its dramatic effect. Or could you be telling the story to create drama? Are you telling the story to hear yourself talk? Or are you telling a story because you don't know what else to say? Are you telling the story the way you see it, believe it? Or are you telling the story to make someone else believe it? Your life is like a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. One part leads to another. One part affects the rest. Each character in your story plays a significant role. Each event in your story determines your role in the next part. Wherever you are in your story, you really don't know what is coming next. You don't know what characters are leaving or coming in. You don't know how the next event in your story will unfold. When you do not tell the whole story, when you alter actual events, when you omit certain characters, you do not learn the lessons your story can teach you. How you tell your story can keep you wounded and stuck, or it can help you grow in understanding. Until today, you may not have been telling your story or certain stories the way they were actually written, the way they occurred. You may have overlooked, changed, or omitted certain characters and events in an attempt to make your story better than it is or worse than it was. Just for today, review all the stories you are telling yourself and others. Make sure what you are telling is an accurate reflection of what actually occurred. Today, I am devoted to checking into the details of stories I am telling myself.
And now, let us join in song. Please rise in body or spirit as you're able to join in singing I Wish I Knew How, number 151.
Chains holding me.
now will you read with me in unison the congregational covenant, which is in your order of worship. In this house, we covenant with one another to create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of oppressed minorities, and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collected strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery, from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is. Every week in our church, we take up an offering, which gives us an opportunity to exercise the generosity of spirit that supports All Souls and its many ministries. We see this act of giving, of growing more generous in our hearts and in our actions, as essential to our spiritual well-being. We will now receive this morning's offering. Individually and together, we are building a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. Each one of you, by your commitment of time, talent, and treasure, helps make that grand vision real. This morning, we give a very warm welcome to our guest worship leader, Reverend Amy McMahan, who will talk to us about clean pain.
Good morning. Good morning. So let us begin in prayer. Mother, Father, God, blessed and divine Holy Spirit, God, your word says, where two or more are gathered, there you are. So my prayer today is that we feel you, that we know you, that we learn to integrate you into our lives, into this community. I will to will your will today, Holy Spirit. More of you and less of me, and I let it be so, and so it is. And we breathe. I was kind of excited about coming into this space to talk about this book that kind of fell into my lap the New York Times bestseller, My Grandmother's Hands,
No.
Racialized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies by Resmaa Menakem. But before I start, I wanted to confess the other day I had a bad day. My mind was awash in negative, unloving thoughts, so I called my teacher. And she laughed, and she told me that one time she went to see Dr. Maya Angelou speak, and somebody said something about being a Christian, and Dr. Maya Angelou looked at her and said, "Already?" And my teacher was reminding me that there's always another level of healing, that it's better to be in the practice of divine love, of the practice of love without conditions, as Jesus taught, less than declaring yourself to be at a state. Because she said that we're never done. There is no there. We're always peeling back the layers of the onion to the next layer of, the chance, the opportunity to choose love. And that I found that deeply comforting. So I offer to you today that now is a time of practice, practicing peace in every moment, practicing love without conditions. And I thought this book was a really great way to talk about some of the experiences that I had and the differences between going back and forth between my community in Maryland and Prince George's County, which is, I would guess, somewhere around 99% people of color, and coming back here, which Franklin County is 92% Caucasian. And sometimes I know we think it would be nice to declare ourselves. I know when Barack Obama was elected, I wanted to declare this country healed. But I know I have seen that there are many more opportunities for healing. And I am really excited that people like my teacher and Resmaa Menakem are giving some guidance, some offerings, some acknowledgement as pathways forward, what healing could look like for all of us. So first, Resmaa Menakem is a therapist in Minneapolis. His brother is a police officer. He's African American. He's an expert in conflict and violence. He has worked with the armed forces, the Minneapolis Police Department, which I don't know if you remember is the police department that is responsible for George Floyd's death. He does workshops on cultural somatics, and he's currently writing a book on somatic abolitionism, which is, I think, a very deep and rich topic that I'm not going to talk about today, but I invite you to do some investigative work about what that means. Now, I cannot begin to cover the topics in this book, but I wanted to pick three things that we will talk about today. One is clean pain. Two is collective trauma and collective healing. And three is collective peace, collective bodies. So clean pain, as defined by Resmaa Menakem. Clean pain is choosing integrity over fear. It's about letting go of what is familiar but harmful, finding the best part of yourself, and making a leap with no guarantee of safety or praise. This healing does not happen in your head. It happens in your body. And it's more likely to happen in a body that can stay settled in the midst of conflict and uncertainty. So Resmaa Menakem is going into police departments and saying that. And I believe that the settled body, the one that doesn't get hacked by the lizard brain when we just do things, quickly on impulse, is a better way to think about moving forward as a nation. I think it's better for our, police officers to be doing self-care and reflecting upon, where am I acting from right now? So I think that's a really exciting development to know that, this man he's a therapist and has his brother as a police officer and is out there doing this work. I love the idea that in the Bible we talk about the Garden of Eden and that snake, slithers in. It's that reptilian brain, right? The one that whispers, I'm in fear, I'm in panic, I'm in terror, I got to do something right now, I don't feel safe. And so I think that quote about clean pain, we can translate that to Jesus saying, turn the other cheek, right? But sometimes that feels like it doesn't resonate in these modern times. So Resma's saying, take a minute, take a breath, get curious. What would relaxation look like for you right now? He also talks in this book, when he talks about clean pain, about how a lot of the European Americans who came to this country, whether we call them the colonialists or the settlers, there's so many words we use in history, and I know I'm re-educating myself about history, so let us just talk about the European Americans who came. They came from a very brutal history of religious repression, right? So Resma's talking about all of the ways that torture was a part of their consciousness. There's drawing and quartering, just horrifying acts. So if our ancestors were not in clean pain, then we have some work to do today in acknowledging that and saying, we'd like to clean that out of our institutions. We'd like to clean that out of our culture. We'd like to clean that out of our society. Let us just acknowledge that there's trauma for everyone and that we have an opportunity to say, you know, I want to know what healing looks like. I want to be in my body. I want to be in peace. I want to be in peace with my neighbors. And I was thinking about my father, descended from Irish immigrants, English, German, and I know that he was not settled in his body. He put on his Brooks Brothers suit and he drove to Washington, D.C. He was a civil servant. He worked to represent this country abroad. It was very in his head. But there was just a way he would fly into a rage, and I cannot imagine it wasn't informed by this ancestral trauma, the Irish coming here starving and just horribly oppressed by the English. And my father didn't like to talk about that. He wanted to talk about World War II battles and how Richard Nixon was a good man. And I don't know. I didn't know Richard Nixon, but I can tell you that he was very quick to act from that lizard brain. And I noticed as my father would get in his station wagon and drive to Washington, D.C., that there was this suburban schism, right? We had these beautiful manicured lawns. The community was extremely Caucasian, and everybody acted very together. Okay. And they would talk. I remember, I don't think that anyone ever said anything very explicitly racist when I was growing up, but there was a way that my father would tense if he saw somebody black. And while he went to DC to work, he drove back to Virginia, and there were some neighborhoods he would talk about that I knew in the way that he was speaking with his body language and his tone that there was something really bad and terrifying happening in these inner city neighborhoods he would talk about, like Anacostia, which I was just in last year and had a wonderful experience in a church. One of the neighborhoods he cautioned me against is where I've been in school for the last 5 years. And I've had one of the most amazing experiences of my life to be welcomed into a community. I've never known love like that before. I've never known peace, to be in this predominantly African American spiritual community. And I can see now in the way that Resma talks about it that there have been these African American spiritual communities that have arisen in response to the trauma. And he talks about how African Americans have developed a variety of body-centered responses to help settle their bodies and blunt the effects of racialized trauma. These include individual and collective humming, rocking, rhythmic clapping, drumming, singing, grounding touch, wailing circles, call and response, to name just a few. And that was part of our spiritual practice in Maryland. There was also dancing, which I could not dance, and they made me. And I thought we could spend some time today just trying it. Resma says that when he goes into a collective space, he makes everybody hum to start, to just get everybody harmonized as a collective. So I thought we could hum Row, Row, Row Your Boat and see what that felt like in our bodies. Does anyone not know how to sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat? I don't want to make the assumption that you do. We sang it in elementary school, but here we go. You guys ready? And we breathe. Now the room feels a little bit more open. So I love this idea about this collective healing. I know when I hit my bottom, that was, I was drinking a lot. I was not happy. And I started going down to Maryland, the place my father warned me about. I, became downstream of these practices like this humming and this somatic closed eye, collective breathing. There was one time they had us just breathe very deeply for 30 minutes. We were on the floor with pillows. And I started crying, and people started screaming. There was just so much stuff in our bodies we were being invited to release. It was such a beautiful experience to know that we can choose to release things. And one of my teachers, the Reverend Dr. Mama Helen, Helen Jones, who transitioned last year, she came over and rubbed my chest, and she said, "It's okay, baby." And I just wanted to invite you to think about just rubbing your own chest and just saying, and soothing yourself and saying, "It's okay, it's okay." There were so many things that happened in Maryland, but one of the results of being in this community as a way of healing, was that I had to learn a new way of being. They said to me sometimes, "How are you being?" Because I always wanted to talk about what I was doing. I was in my head, right? I was always like, "I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And they would look at me sometimes, some of my classmates, and they were like, "But how are you being?" And sometimes my being triggered people because I wasn't present in my body. I was coming from an intellectual place. Resma says we're not going to heal racism in this country in our heads. We're not going to come up with that beautiful phrase, that slogan, that thought, that belief. It's going to be in our bodies. When we settle ourselves, when we heal our trauma, when we commune in a way that doesn't evoke historic imbalances and brutality. I had to release my sense of self in order to be in community. And it meant releasing this idea we have in this country around our rugged individualism. When I was talking about me and I a lot, my classmates, my community members would often look at me and say, "But what are we going to do today together? How are we going to be?" Because my being affected their being. And so it's, I think, a beautiful idea to think about how every day we get to choose how we are in this community, how we are in this country, how we're being with one another. And we can make, in an instant, a choice to be more loving towards ourselves and others. And maybe there isn't a distinction. Maybe if I'm more loving in my thoughts and my speaking to myself, then I will be more loving at my restaurant to my customers, to my staff, and that will radiate forward. That is the practice that I am in right now. And let me tell you, I fail miserably some days. But we get to wake up every day and start over. So this third part where we talk about collective peace, collective bodies, I love this idea that we settle our nervous systems. We're in community and we create emotional safety for one another by being grounded. Resma Menakem talks about how what he does as a therapist, the most healing thing that he does is that he's in the room, he's in his body, and he's grounded, really listening to his clients. listening to police officers when he's counseling them. So I'm going to add that to what I offer today as the practice: listening, being in our bodies, being grounded. And so I thought we could end today by saying together this new mantra that I have added to when I notice I'm having some unloving thoughts. I now say, I forgive you, please forgive me. So I wondered if you would join me today in saying, I forgive you, please forgive me. I think it changes how I feel in my body, how I'm moving through space, how I am. And I invite you to add that to your daily practice. So thank you for having me. I hope that you will consider reading this book if you have not already. It offers a lot. There are times when it's difficult, but again, it just offers you an opportunity to get grounded, to breathe, and to settle yourself, to heal. So thanks for having me. Thanks for being in this work. Thanks for being in this community. And you know where to find me if you want to get into collective community practice with this grounding, peaceful energy that we're going to be bringing out from this room this morning. So I bless you, and let us end in prayer. Thank you, God. Thank you for teaching us how to be in our bodies and know that you are a thought, a belief, a prayer away. My prayer is that we call upon divine love in our lives, in ourselves, in our work with each other in this space, and that we learn how to fully embody divine love and peace and joy and freedom in our lives from here on out. Thank you.
Let's try that. I forgive you. Will you forgive me? Now think about somebody who's not in this room, who needs to hear that, and who you need to hear that back from. Take it back into your heart. Do it again. I forgive you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you forgive me?
So we can go. So much.
Powerful. Please join us in singing number 134, Our World is One World. Okay, proven twice to me today that reading glasses are a must for a woman my age. Sorry for the gaffes. Now is the time in our service for sharing joys and sorrows. If you have a sorrow that needs the help of this community to carry it, or a joy so great that you must share it, now is the time. You may share with the congregation. A microphone will be brought to you. Can I have a Vanna, somebody? Okay, Rob, it's you. Or light a candle at the side of the sanctuary. If you're sharing with the congregation, please note this isn't a time for political or community announcements. We'll do that after the service. We care for each other by being true to the purpose of this time of sharing. A very great joy that we feel today is to have visitors among us. So while we're doing this time of joys and sorrows, if you'd like to introduce yourself, it's not mandatory whatsoever, but we'd love to welcome you properly. And now it is our time for sharing joys and concerns and welcoming newcomers. Gotta turn it on.
I'm Kate, and I'm lighting a candle of joy. I have my 16-year-old granddaughter had her birthday yesterday. She's my eldest granddaughter.
Which one?
Maisie.
Maisie.
Sweet 16. Got anybody on Zoom, Frank?
Not so far.
Not so far.
I have some. Oh wait, there is one thing on Zoom. Gary, you can go ahead and just unmute yourself. Gary put in, he has a joy, delighted, in singing outdoors with our friends on the, I do not know how to pronounce this,
Montague.
Montague Common yesterday. The weather blessed us, and we didn't want to stop. Concern, our cat, Ergon, is still not doing well, requires a lot of attention. And we're supposed to be going to Florida next week to visit his son and granddaughter. Haven't seen them in a year and a half, and the trip is very much pending. Very sad I'm seeing so much of her early this year, first the pandemic and now this. And then I have two sorrows. My dad had a stroke over Easter, so that was very stressful. He's doing all right. Medication that they've been giving him is good, and he's going to do some physical therapy. And just a concern that my car is busted and has been busted, and I've tried everything to try to fix it. I know what's wrong, and it's just been a very rough week.
Hi, I'm Kim, and I could light 3 candles of sorrow, but probably one will be enough. I've gotten to that point in my life where I have packets of sympathy cards at my house, and I had to send 3 this week. One, the easiest one, was to a friend of mine who lost a dear friend of hers, who's nobody I know, but I know she's grieving. A really hard one was for a matriarch of our Unitarian Universalist congregation in Bangor. Someone that I've done food ministry with for decades. And she lost her husband shortly after I lost my husband, so we did the whole widow lady thing together, and she's gone. And the really hard one is for a friend of mine who passed away in March. I just found out he had a sudden cardiac death, just like my husband. And he was only 63.
just found out yesterday. So that one's still really fresh. So our matriarch was Judy Boothby, and my friend is David Berg. Please hold them in your hearts.
Sorry, Kim. My name's Russ. Would you please light a candle, sorrow? Doug Tibbles from Greenfield, who was 83, just recently passed away. He was a member of a band, the Stone Coyotes, who played here. And his mother-in-law was Ginny Lowe, who was a longtime member of this church. I really like Doug, and thank you.
I have one as well. My uncle, Robert Weissman, passed away not quite 2 weeks ago, and it was his generosity and constant love and support that actually brought me to this community. For if it wasn't for his paying for my going to school and restarting my life in my 30s, or my aunt's throwing the birthday party in Shelburne, I would not stand here today. It's a great loss to my family.
So, let's see, my name is Pam. And let's see. One of the amazing things about today's service was its integrity and honesty, and I'm grateful for that. Very grateful. And one of the things that has grown out of living for me, where, you know, my life focused on trying to alleviate the pain of poverty, etc., through organizing work, right? So what did I discover is a fascinating thing. It's a therapeutic model. It starts like a medical model. It says, take pain, live in the pain, get past the pain. And I discovered it doesn't work very well. It helps an awful lot if you can discover where you're headed. And if your heart and your soul and your mind are headed in that direction, you can begin to build the kind of community you want to live in. That's where I'm coming from right now. That's where I'm sitting in right now. Debate with me. Tell me I'm wrong. No, but I feel like that line in the movie where I'll have what you're having. Is there anyone else who'd like to share a joy or a concern or a sorrow? Would you please light a candle, Amy, of sorrow and concern for my only child who seems to be my name is Rob, who seems to be in a phase, I hope, where she's just a magnet for misfortune. But now, in addition to a broken arm, she has a broken heart. Not exactly a happy holiday situation. And then on a candle of hope level, there's a line in the hymn 151 that we sang about something that's long overdue and that life keeps giving us a chance to start anew. And I heard yesterday about an 80-year-old man who, after 5 years of widowhood, met a woman about his own age and started anew and built a philanthropic foundation and is doing the most fulfilling work of both of their whole lives. So here's hoping it's never too late to start anew.
Thank you. What? I'll go over there.
If you guys would like to unmute yourselves, you can share. Carl and Tom, or Carlene and Tom.
Thank you.
Okay.
I am so grateful for Amy's talk this morning. Tom and I were part of a group that read My Grandmother's Hands by Resma Menakem at the beginning of the pandemic, and it really changed the way we look at all those issues that she brought up and many more. And I'd welcome talking more about his book.
And I have a joy to my my year younger sister, my closest sibling, is we're having some reconnection going. That's really.
Why do we have two voices?
Sorry, go ahead.
There was a reconnection happening between us that's very, very hopeful and somewhat joyous. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you for fixing that, Frank. That was interesting. Okay. Take a good deep breath, folks. I invite you into a time of quiet reflection. And then when you're ready, will you hold your hands and share some energy in the room? Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose, we turn our hearts and minds toward each other, seeking to hold all of our sorrows, the passing of dear friends, of family members, fathers, uncles, young ones, people who have medical emergencies, people who love their furry family members and hope for good health for them. People who discover medical models don't work and then turn to the hopefulness of finding a new way, of starting anew, of gratitude for messages received and heard and connections made to prior learning and understanding that we are just a work in progress, for rites of passage, for seeing friends outdoors and enjoying the warm, well, maybe too warm weather, gathering on the common and having hope for healing, being a person of perseverance, knowing how persnickety car repairs can be, for music brought to this institution and these walls by beloved friends who are legacies of beloved members, for messages of integrity, for discovering that the journey continues, for reconnecting, for always hoping for our children and knowing that heartbreak will lead to the newest adventure. For all of these, spoken and unspoken, joys and sorrows, let us open our hearts and minds to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. Blessed be. And now, if you'll join us in singing Prayer to Friends, which you should find as an insert in the front of your hymnal. It looks like this. You may remain seated. To this day I bring my life, born of hope, born of sand, yearning joy when now there's strife. All I have, all I am. Help me to see what I must see. Help me to be where I must be. Restless faith abide till all are free. Fill my life, turn my hand. And before the benediction and pray, postlude, are there announcements? Can you scurry? The first announcement is that the board will be meeting on Zoom tomorrow evening at 7:30. Please feel free to contact anyone at board@uugreenfield.org for a Zoom link.
Hi, my name is Molly, and I just wanted to remind people that today the Social Justice Committee is meeting in the Minister's Study, which is over there, and I hope that somebody will open it up for us, and we're meeting at noon, please. Thank you.
Good news is, it, like so much in this church, is open.
Hi, I'm Kim again. So you might know that we've formed a new group to talk about marketing the congregation, and we're going to meet Tuesday, April 25th in the evening on Zoom. So you will need a link and contact me or Kate because she seems to know everybody's email addresses if you need a link to that and you're interested.
Awesome. April 25th to talk about marketing the congregation on Zoom, Tuesday evening. What time? 7 p.m. Thank you.
This congregation can always use more people who could greet sometime. If you can remember the first time you came here, and if there was somebody in the entryway who greeted you, if that was a good experience for you, consider being a greeter here sometime. I'd love to have you do it. Thank you.
Well, the growing out of this dynamic process that we went through, introduced by the board, like Rob and so on, came a group that's emerging, we hope. Looks like 10 people at this point. And that group is looking at climate change, but also at using the energy that has come, I would say, out of some despair in the school system because the children are in pain. And so a lot of other people are kind of backing up our teachers. And we have 3 of them. That's the way I read it at this point, but it's so new, I don't really know yet. It's their experience that we're building on. But also, I've had the amazing experience of accompanying Joan Pillsbury. She can talk for herself, but in Gill, it was And we're looking at the idea of how do trees work? How do they pull the carbon out of the atmosphere and then sequester it, store it in the ground? And today, Sunday, the 16th at 2 o'clock, we have a guy who's coming. He was the head of the Sierra Club. He's an African-American man. He's now the head of the, oh dear, I always lose the words here, but it's, and it will be taking place in St. James and Andrews at 2 o'clock today. You have to have a ticket. I've got 2 left if anybody wants one. I've got yours, but I've got 2 more. All right, and then to top it off, next Sunday, we have one of the premier authors of edible forest gardens is coming to offer the sermon. His name is Dave Jackie. Edible Forest Gardens is a tome that weighs about 25 pounds, and it's 8 years of his work. He's a remarkable human being who's really put his life into understanding human-plant relationships.
He'll be right here in this sanctuary at 10:30. Go ahead, Kate.
Just on top of Dave Jakey's sermon, I want to make sure everybody knows that there's going to be a pop-up choir. So if you want to participate with Kit Johnson leading, come at 9:30, warm up, learn the hymns, and spread the spirit. So there's choir, and then after the service, we're going to have a community meal downstairs. And it's not a potluck. We're going to purchase food to feed people. And so Dave is going to be joining us, so he'll have a table if you want to listen more to his stories.
So basically next Sunday's a trifecta. You get a really good service, you get a really good choir, and you get a free meal. How can you beat it? Did you have something, Frank? Johl, I haven't forgotten. I'm coming back.
Okay, so the Rose Center, at camp where I work at, we're having a work week from June 4th to June 8th, and I invite everybody to come up if you'd like. It's free food, free room, although it's dorm-style rooms, so if you want a private room, you have to talk to my bosses about that. But aside from that, it's just kind of a fantastic opportunity to get out there, get with nature. We got a meditation hut, we have a sauna, so those are things that are open and ready for any of you to use.
Mm-hmm. More? Wow. There's almost an announcement for each person in the sanctuary.
So I just wanted to remind people that our next opportunity to ring bells for increasing awareness about the climate change crisis is going to be May 11th. And I haven't looked to see what day of the week that is yet, but I invite you, if you'd like, to give me a call and sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody who has not announced, please speak now or forever let your announcement be released.
Or send it to the admin and she'll put it in the WhatsApp. Okay. From the Navajo Indians of North America. Beauty is before me and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age. I shall walk quietly with the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended. Go in peace, create peace, be peace. Thank you.